All right, everyone. Is Superman a flop? I mean, 5 days into the movie, is it a flop already? Yeah, well, first off, we got to figure out what flop actually means. Like, honestly, does flop mean what it makes on opening weekend? Does flop mean how the audience and critics look at it? Does flop mean what the total box office is? Like, what does flop actually mean? Now, according to Google, flop for a film means how much money it's made to cover the production, the marketing, and the distribution. That's pretty simple. That's what Google says. Personally, I think it encapsulates everything. I think it encapsulates what the critics and the audience are saying, how much money it's made to cover everything, including the marketing, including the distribution and everything like that. But I also think that you eventually kind of take into account, like, is it a cult classic later on? Like, don't get me wrong, there are movies that have come out that have completely flopped in the theaters, but eventually become cult classics on VHS, DVD, and on streaming. Look at Kevin Smith's Mallrats, for instance. Did terribly in the theaters, but became a huge hit on video and later on in life, and people love that movie now. So there's films like that that will happen. Sure, it could be a flop in the theaters, but eventually find new life down the line. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going on with Superman. I just kind of wanted to explain how when you look at this kind of stuff, it's not always like that simple. It's not like, oh, this is that or this is that. No, there's a lot of things you have to look at, okay? Now, I personally like to look at things such as critic and audience reception. Why? Because I think that plays a role in understanding, one, how the studio is going to look at things, and two, understanding how things will play out in the long run. There are a lot of people on social media right now. The discourse is absolutely crazy talking about, is this movie a flop already? And it's like, first off, we know the minority of these people, of these fans, these minority in the fan base, I should say. We know who they are. Okay, we know exactly who they are. But they're sitting there screaming from the rooftops, it's a flop, it's a flop, it's a flop. Oh, it's done terribly, it's done terribly. And look, I can talk to them blue in the face and explain the box office and how everything works to everybody, but they're not going to listen. They're going to twist everything they can to try and make a point to say, this movie is a flop already. But it's not. And let me explain why, okay? First and foremost, let's take a look at the reception of this film. And, oh my goodness, Slav, you're using Rotten Tomatoes. You're using the Rotten Tomatoes. You can't use that tomato website. You use the tomato website. Oh man, you can't do that. Okay, look, first off, look, I get it. People don't like Rotten Tomatoes, but we gotta point something out here. Out of 388 reviews, which is a lot of reviews critically, it sits at 83%. Now, that is strong. That is very, very strong for this Superman movie, okay? It's not 100%, it's not 90%, but 83% certified fresh from critics. Very strong. But what I care more about is the popcorn meter, which is the fans, the audience, the people who have gone to the theater, paid their hard-earned money to sit down in a theater chair, throwing popcorn in their face, drinking their oversized pops, and watch this movie. And there have been more than 10,000 verified ratings. Now, how do you get a verified rating? That's a question a lot of people have. Well, the only way that you get a verified rating is if you buy a ticket through Fandango and you have that connected to Rotten Tomatoes so they can verify that you bought the ticket. Now, it has a 93% rating. That is the audience. That is the audience score. 93% rating. It is a verified hot popcorn rating. That is, come on, guys. The audience, the critics, they love this movie. They are enjoying this movie wholeheartedly. Okay, so that's number one. That's the first aspect I want to touch right there is, look, this is proving that the audience enjoys it. So from an audience standpoint, it's not a flop. But that's not the only thing you look at. It's not, because yes, the money it makes does play a role into whether a movie can be a flop or not. But Robert, it's too early to consider if this movie's a flop or not. It hasn't finished its box office run. I know, but if the Snyder Bros can do it, if they can sit there and say this movie's a flop or not, I can sit here and discuss if it's a flop or not, right? Right? So what I'm going to show you, that's not where I wanted to go. This is where I wanted to go. What I'm going to show you here is that currently, as of Wednesday, July 16th, Superman sits worldwide at $232 million. You can round that up a little bit because it's kind of high, $233 million. It doesn't have the Tuesday numbers in, which made a little more than $17 million on Tuesday. So you're looking at $250-some million that it's made in its first 5-6 days. That's impressive. In today's landscape of comic book movies and theater going, that is impressive. It's got legs. Monday and Tuesday were huge days for this movie. It's got legs. It's got legs, guys. This is good. All right? But why am I talking about this right now? Like, what can I show you to say, well, look, this is leaning more towards not being a flop? Well, the last page that I accidentally clicked first, Superman cost a hefty, according to Variety, a hefty $225 million to produce. $225 million to produce. So that is the budget of the movie. That is how much it cost to pay the actors, to make the sets, the costumes, the director, the producers, like to get all of the cast and the crew and everything like that, to get the cameras and everything, the SD cards, all of that. $225 million. It's made 232, according to this, closer to 250 as of today, Wednesday, July 16th. Wednesday, July 16th. $250-ish million. So it's made $25 million more than its production. $25 million more than its production budget. Okay. So it's already paid off its production. Score. It's made $25 million more than it. The marketing, it says, was roughly $100 million to promote. So they spent roughly $100 million to promote this. So that's marketing. So that's the traveling for James Gunn and the cast and crew to go around the world to promote this, all the banners and the posters and the billboards and all that. $100 million. The commercials, TV spots, all that kind of stuff. $100 million. That's what they say. All right. So that's hefty. That's hefty. Now, keep in mind, at the end of the year, that kind of gets written off a bit. It's also kind of baked into the overall marketing spend of a studio at the beginning of the year. They have an overall marketing spend that they kind of bake into what the studio is going to spend in an entire year. So that's kind of how it gets written off at the end of the year. Not saying that they don't want to make that money back. They absolutely do. But it also, the marketing kind of, it isn't, not the whole thing, but most of it gets written off at the end of the year. All right. So right there, that $100 million doesn't seem as bad as you think it would seem. All right. But what about the theaters? Because they have to, a portion of the box office has to go to the theaters, right? Well, absolutely. Portion of the box office does. So you're talking about roughly 50% of the box office goes to the theaters then. So if what they made right now covers the production, all right, anything they make from here on out, so let's say they make another $200 million, which I think is going to happen within the next couple weeks. The $200 million will then be spread across the theater chains. That would be around the world. And then after that, anything else is profit. We're talking about a movie that's going to be out for an additional 84 days minimum. Not to mention when they put it on to buy on your streaming services, to buy, not to watch for free, when you can buy it digitally, when you can buy the steelbooks, when you can buy the DVDs, the Blu-rays, whatever, all that stuff. Don't forget that all goes into it. Now, I know we're talking about the box office, but the box office is going to be fine, guys. Like, when you sit here and take a look at where we're going with this box office is tracking, as of right now, tracking to hit, with what we've seen so far, around $650 to $700 million. Now, could that go a little lower? It could. But, what did I just say? It only needs to make about 500 to 550 to be in the profitable range, to pay everything back. So that is more than doable, because this weekend is going to be a huge weekend. So to sit there and say that it's a flop, everything we've seen thus far does not prove that it's a flop. I think the tracking is showing that it's going in the right direction. But the most important thing that you have to remember, is this right here. This, when it comes to this movie, is more important than anything else. They're not looking for a quick buck with this film. This was never about making a quick buck. This was all about getting fans excited about the DC universe. And this right here proves the fans, the audience, they're excited about the DC universe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think weekend number 2 is going to hit when it comes to the box office? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. With all that said, I'll catch you all later.